Kal Kadosh, I hope all is well. This is Mishna Yomi, Masechet Bava Kamma, Perek Bet, second Perek, Mishna Hey and the Vav. We finished the Perek with this, Mishna 5 and 6. So Mishna Hey comes and it starts as follows. We're talking about now the entire concept of the fourth case of the one mentioned in the Mishnah, where basically there's going to be done keren, and there's going to be a difference of where exactly is going to be done, and the differences between a tam and a muad. So the Mishnah starts as follows: Shor mazik birshuta nizak. What is the case of a shor which is going to damage in the property of the one that gets damaged? What exactly does that mean? So the Mishnah starts: Nagach, nagaf, nashach, ravatz, ba'at, birshuta rabim. If it gores, nagaf is to push, nashach is to bite, ravatz is to squat, which means it jumps on it, ba'at is to kick. In any of these cases where he did this in the Reshut Rabim in a public domain, Meshalem Chetzi Nezek, he's going to pay only half damages, right? Because remember, anything which is done in a Reshut Rabim is half damages. Birshut Nizak, if it's going to be in the private domain, meaning in the one that is getting damaged, according to the Bitarfon, he has to pay full damages, even though it's a tam. Because since it's in the Reshut of the Nizak, remember, Shitat Rabbi Tarfon, as long as it's the reshut of the nizak, of the one that got damaged, the damagee, so then he has to pay full damages. Why? Whoever told you to come into my property. And if you came into my property, what do I care if you're a tam or a muad, whether you're a bituous or not a bituous of a gore or all these other things. You have to pay full damages, and then that's it. However, this is the Shita of Rabbi Tarfon. Chachamim say no. He only has to pay chetzi nezek. Okay, so fine. Which means that the Mishnah, which states that you have to pay full damages, that first Mishnah, right, obviously was going Mishnah in one, number 4, right? So therefore that one, Perek Aleph Mishnah Dalet, that one was going in Shitat Rabbi Tarfon. Now we're going to go into the conversation, right, the dialogue between Rabbi Tarfon and the Chachamim. So Amar Rabbi Tarfon, says Rabbi Tarfon, 1 second. Uma b'makom shehekel al Hashem v'al regel v'shut rabim shu patur. He's going to do a kal v'chomer. Remember, a kal v'chomer means that if I could carry 20 kilos or 20 pounds, kal v'chomer, I could carry 10. Why? Because I'm learning the kal, the lighter one, from the stricter one, from the chamur. So says Rabbi Tarfon, if right now the Torah is going to be lenient with regarding shen and regel, that in the Reshut Rabim, you're exempt of paying. And still, right? Which means like this: if an animal is going to eat in the public domain, he's walking on the middle of the street on Harding, on Collins, and it comes in and eats something, it's going to be patur. Why? It's in the Reshut Rabim. It didn't go into anybody's private property to eat something. There was something on the floor, he ate it. He's patur. He's exempt. So he says, if shen and regel, or an animal's just walking on the Harding and it breaks something, listen, why did you leave it in the middle of the street? Obviously, it's going to be broken. It's like putting something in the middle of the street. A car drives over it, you're going to start screaming. Listen, you put it on the street. What do you want? So he says, Uma shen ve'aregel, birshut rabim shu patur, it's going to be exempt. Hechmir alehem birshut nizak l'shel nizak shalem. Still, you would have to pay full damages in the reshut of the nizak. So therefore, makom shechmir alaken birshut rabim l'shel chatzi nezek. By keren, remember, by the goring, even in a public place, you still have to pay chatzi nezek when it's going to be a tam. So that means if right now the shen v'regel, remember, eating and walking, public domain completely exempt. Why? What do you want it for it to do? If it's going to be now the private domain, that's you're going to have to pay 100%. So it's either 0 or 100%. Keren, which is goring with the horns, you have to pay 50% as long as it's a tam, even if it's going to be in the public domain. So he says, so shouldn't it be then that in a private domain, for sure you should pay 100%? If the shen v'regel was going either 0% or 100%, and keren is more strict because keren you pay 50% even in a public domain, so the more so, right, that you should pay a 100% if it's going to be in a private domain, that if it gores in a private domain, you should pay 100%. So Amrulo, so the rabbis told Rabbi Tarfon, Dayo laba min adin liot kanidon. Says, no. Dayo, what is dayo? Dai, it's must speak, it's enough. No, it's enough for the new law, which is taught by the Kal V'chomer, to be the exact same stringency as the law that it's taught by, which means you cannot make it stricter than the original source. I cannot come and make it stricter, which means, just like in the Reshut Rabim, right, it's Chetzi Nezek, which means just like you would pay Keren is Chetzi Nezek, so to Reshut Nizak is going to be Chetzi Nezek, right? Because at the end of the day, it cannot make it stricter. So according to Rabbi Tarfon's Kal Vachomer, you wanted to teach that since the owner pays half in the public, he should pay full, right, in the private. It's not true. Because at the end of the day, paying already the half in the public, so I cannot make you now pay full. So even in a private, you should only pay full. That's the way it is. And that's what he says. Just like in the Reshuta Rabim is half, so too in the Reshuta Nizak. In the Reshuta, not only the public you pay half, so to the private, you should only pay half as well. So Amar Lehem, so Rabbi Tarfon answers them and he says, Ani lo adun keren. You're right. I'm not going to learn from Keren. Because remember, he was trying to learn Keren in the public domain to Keren in a private domain. He said, I'm not going to learn that. Ani adun keren miregel. I'm going to learn Keren, which is the horn, from the regel, from the feet, from walking. If right now the Torah was lenient on eating and on walking in the normal in the Reshut Rabim in the public domain, that it's going to be exempt completely. Remember that it's patur completely. Hechmid, right? And it says hechmid bekeren, and still by keren you're still going to be machmid in the public domain. So if right now the Torah was strict in the private domain, in the damagee's property, right? So for sure it should be machmir also in keren. Meaning before he was learning horns from horn in a public domain to horns, goring with horns, in a private domain. We pushed that off because we said, okay, so then it should be a 50-50. 50% paying in the public domain and 50% paying in the private domain. Rabbi Tarfon didn't want to say that. So now he's learning the goring from the Shen Varegel. So Amrulo, again, they tell him the same thing. Again, it cannot be more stricter. Why? It cannot be stricter than the law that he wanted. Even according to Rabbi Tarfon's second Kal Vachomer, what did he want to say? He wanted to say that keren in a public place, right? He says, well, 1 second, but keren even in a public place is only chetzi nezek, half nezek. So just like the Reshut Rabim is half nezek, so to the Reshut Nizak is going to be half nezek, which means that you can never come and make it more strict. He wanted to make it logical and say that where the damage is done in the victim's properties, he should pay full, just like he pays full for Shen and Regel, so too he should pay full for the what? For the Keren, which usually is much stricter, because Keren is always much stricter. Goring with the horns is much stricter than the Shen and Regel. But he says, no, but 1 second, at the end of the day, it's still, right? You're still learning the Keren, it's always maximum 50% when it's going to be a Tam. Fine. Now we're going to Mishnah number 6. Mishnah Vav says, Adam mu'al le'olam. We're going to the last case of the Mishnah, which is basically Adam mazik. An Adam, a human being, right, is what? Adam mu'al le'olam. A human being is always considered a mu'ad. Meaning he's always obligated 100% for his damages, because a person is always like habituous that he has to be careful with what he's doing. Ben Mishogeg Mizid, doesn't matter whether it's accidentally or it's purposely. Ben Er Ben Yashem, whether he's awake or he's asleep. Simet in Chaverov, he blinds his friend. The shiberet hakelim, and he destroys, right, the different utensils. Again, everything here is talking about by accident. Meshalem nezek shalem. He has to pay nezek shalem. The reason why I said it's by accident is because usually a human being has to pay for 5 different things. He has to pay for the, for the loss of the, for example, pain, medical bills, the salary, shame, damages. There's 5 things that a person has to pay, the chamisha nezakim, right? But by here, since it was done accidentally, he doesn't have to pay for those 5. So that's why it's only brought down that if he actually did it accidentally, that he blinded the eye of his friend, or he destroyed the utensils, all he has to do is pay for the full damages. But that's it. He doesn't have to pay for other things. But that's the difference, that a human being is always considered an adam mazik, a mu'ad le'olam, and therefore he always has to pay full damages.